Test. Can you hear me on Zoom? Good. Okay. So make sure at home, if you've got 2 blocks, that would be great, and a strap. Maybe a cushion, a couch cushion or something. You can use extra padding for the knees. And we're going to start on time. All right. Let's just line this up here. All right, so let's start. We'll start in a child's pose. So you can either have your legs together and just bring your hips back with your arms extended forward, or you can take your arms by your sides. You also have the option to separate the knees and bring the toes together and bring the hips back. And also, it's early too, so if it helps, you can also take a cushion. We have those big, thick black ones if you need a little extra support starting out in the hips. Does anybody want a cushion in the room? I can bring some in. Oh, good. Okay. So at home, starting out, you can always take a couch cushion or a pillow of some sort and just put it between your heels and your glutes for a little extra support starting out. Go ahead and close your eyes and just start to focus on the breath. We're making that transition from outer observation to an inner sense of awareness. This is a great posture for really going inside, really focusing on that internal observation. Really take time to notice that change as you start to create your yoga space. Noticing the expansion through the rib cage, belly, the upper back on the inhale, and the release on the exhale. And take a few more breaths. Just relaxing into the mat. Letting go of any holding or any tension, maybe in the lower back or the shoulders. Then you can start to take the hands forward if they're not already extended and come onto your fingertips. We'll start to activate the arms a little bit, reaching, walking the fingertips forward. And then we'll walk the arms over to the right. So the right palm is on the floor, extending through that left arm, walking the fingertips to get a nice side stretch. Pressing the right palm into the floor or the mat. And you can push your hips in the opposite direction to increase that side stretch. Opening up through the armpit and the rib cage. And then we'll walk the arms back toward the center and all the way over to the other side. So your left palm is on the floor and you're reaching, walking the fingertips, the right hand forward to find that stretch in the right side body. Doing the compression on the left. Feel that opening all the way down the length of the arm and the rib cage. and bring it back to center. And then we'll slowly walk the hands back, come to sit up. And we'll face front and just take one leg out to the side. So it doesn't have to be too far, just a gentle opening. Take the opposite sole of the foot. I have the left sole of my foot to the right inner thigh. And then extending through that right leg or left leg, depending which you're using, flexing that foot. So we start to get some activation in the quad. We're stretching through the hamstring of the extended leg. And then we'll come into a side bend. So your choice, you can take one hand to the outside, or if you like, have the palm up and take the elbow to the inside of that knee. And then we can take the other arm over and extending through the fingertips and using if your elbow's on the inside, you can use the press of the elbow against the inside of that leg to help open up. And you're bringing that top shoulder back. You're trying to aim your sternum, heart toward the ceiling. Also pressing through the lower back, so you're not collapsing. The lower back is coming forward, and we're opening up here. Feel that stretch in the side body, reaching through the fingertips. Inhale, exhale. And then inhale, use that arm to bring you up. And then we'll twist, so we're facing that extended leg. And then very gently walking your hands out, trying to extend through the lower back. So rather than rounding, we're extending nice and long. So you're aiming your chest more toward the shin, keeping flexion in the extended leg. And inhale, exhale. Finding length in the back of the neck, so you're not pulling the head back or dropping it down. It's a nice long back of the neck. Maybe tuck the chin just a little bit. And then walk the hands back. We'll face the center. And let's extend the arms forward. You can interlace the fingers. And then we'll inhale the arms up. Pressing through the fingertips. Drop the shoulders. Engaging through the abdominals, the pubic muscles. And maintaining that length, we're going to start to twist toward the bent knee. And then maintaining that height, we'll let the hands come down, one hand to the back of the knee. We're coming into a twist. One hand behind you, and keeping a slight bend in that elbow and the hand behind you so you can drop the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, maybe deepen that twist, bringing your gaze toward that back shoulder. And slowly come back to center. From here, let's just switch legs. So we'll extend the opposite leg. Again, pressing through the heel, flex that foot, bring the sole of the opposite foot to the inner thigh. And again, we'll start with our side stretch here, palm to the mat on the outside or palm facing up on the inside. Inhale that arm up, pressing the lower back forward as the top shoulder comes back, opening up the chest toward the ceiling, reaching through the rib cage, through the fingertips, and just try to find a comfortable position for the neck. Maybe tuck the chin just a little bit. And breathe. And then inhale that arm to come up, and then we'll just twist toward the extended leg and just gently walking the hands out and bringing the chest toward that chin any amount so that you can stay nice and extended through the back. Again, lengthening through the back of the neck. Staying active in that extended leg. The foot is flexed. And then we'll walk the hands back up. And again, take the hands forward, maybe change which finger is on top. And again, press the palms forward, drop the shoulders. Inhale the hands up. Index fingers reaching toward the ceiling. Pinky fingers are dropping back. Feel that extension through the abdominals. And we'll start to twist toward the bent knee. And maintain that height, and we'll come into a twist, lower the arms. One hand to the back of the knee, one hand behind you, and dropping the shoulders as much as you can. You can take your gaze toward that back shoulder. Inhale, and find length in the spine. Exhale, maybe deepen that twist just a little bit. And then we'll slowly bring it back to center. From here, we're just going to bend that knee of the extended leg, and we'll take the opposite leg behind us. So we're aiming for the shin, the left shin, to be parallel to the short end of the mat. So we're trying to make a 90-degree angle in both legs. If this is tough on your knee, you can have some support underneath that front leg or underneath the back knee. So we're aiming for the 90-degree angle. If that's a little bit too hard on your knees, just bend the knees a little bit more. Whatever is comfortable here. We'll take the hands behind, drop the shoulders, and then just drop that hip, that top hip down so we get a nice stretch right across the hip, inner thigh. And breathe. And then from here, we'll bring the hands forward and we'll just face the top of the mat right across that front foot and come down any amount. You can stay on your hands or maybe come down to your forearms or forearms on a block. So we're in a very gentle pigeon pose. So that back knee is bent rather than being straight. So it's a little bit easier. You'll feel the stretch in that hip and glute of that front leg. And then maybe come down all the way, stacking one palm on top of the other, bringing the forehead to the back of the palms. And breathe. See if you can let go in the legs. Take a deep breath and just feel that inner breath just wrapping around that muscle where you're feeling the tension or sensation. And then release. Releasing the shoulders. The face and the jaw are relaxed. And we'll slowly come back. Push up, coming onto your palms. And again, take your hands behind you and we'll just very gently windshield wiper the knees. So we'll very gently take it side to side with the breath. Inhale and exhale. And then we'll let the knees drop to the opposite side. So now that, for me, it's the right shin is parallel to the short end of the mat. Opposite knee is at a 90-degree angle or less. Again, using the blocks to support the knees if you need to. We'll take the hands behind us, drop the shoulders, lift the chest, and see if you can push that top hip forward so you get that nice stretch across the hip crease, inner thigh. And then we'll just slowly come up and walk facing the chest toward that shin. We'll bring it down. Either hands can be on the block, so your forearms are on the block, or you can stay up nice and tall, or you can bring your forearms to the mat. So again, you're in your gentle pigeon. This is an option. If we do the supine pigeon with the back leg straight, you can always bend that back knee and do this gentler version. Another option to stack one hand on top of the other and take the forehead to the mat. Again, breathing in, breathing into the hips or wherever you're feeling that sensation. To visualize that breath wrapping around that tension and then releasing on the exhale. And then we'll come back onto the palms and slowly walk it back up. And then let's bring the knees up and just come to lie down on your back. You can have a strap close by. And we'll start with the soles of the feet on the mat. And we'll bring the right knee in toward the chest. You can interlace your fingers behind the thigh or on the shin. I prefer interlacing the fingers behind the thigh. It's a little easier on the knee. And bring that knee toward the right shoulder, letting the tops of the arm bones drop toward the mat. And then if you like, you can extend that opposite leg so that you're pushing through the heel, keeping that extended leg flexed as the right knee comes toward the right shoulder. And you can rotate that ankle both directions. And then releasing the hands will extend that right leg or the leg that was bent up toward the ceiling. So all four corners of that foot are facing the ceiling. The foot is flexed. And then you can take your arms out to the sides and also pushing through the extended leg. So we're working both legs, abdominals strong, pressing through both heels, relaxing through the shoulders, the face, and the jaw. Go ahead and bend that knee again, and then we're going to come into a half happy baby. So take your right elbow to the inside of that right knee, and then you can wrap your fingers around the pinky toe side of that foot and just draw that foot down as much as you can, keeping the opposite leg extended, or you can have a slight bend in the extended leg. And then resist by pressing the elbow into that knee as you try to draw that knee in. At the same time, pulling the outside of that foot down. So we're aiming to have that right thigh be parallel to the mat. And breathe. We're going to come into a pigeon from here. So sliding that extended leg back. So now you're on the sole of the foot. We'll take that right ankle, cross it over the left knee, and just very gently take your right hand and you can start to gently coax that right knee down. Maybe a little massage for that inner thigh. Keeping that foot flexed. And then you can go ahead and lift the left leg and you could thread the arms through. So you're interlacing the fingers behind that left leg. And then you can start to draw that left thigh in. Trying to keep that right knee open. Sacrum is on the mat. See if you can relax the shoulders down. And we'll slowly lower that left leg. And take your right hand around your right ankle. We're going to extend the left leg long again on the mat. And then take that right sole of the foot to the inner thigh. So we're in a supine tree pose. So you have the option to keep your sole of the foot to the inner thigh above the knee, or if you prefer, you can have it below the knee. But in the supine tree, we don't have to worry about balance. So it's a good chance to really get that feeling of the pose, that openness in the hips. And you can take your right hand and gently press that knee down toward the foot. Feel that nice opening through the hips. If you like, you can take your arms up and grow your tree, pressing that sole of that right foot into the inner thigh or the shin, wherever your foot is. And just feel the openness of that pose. The chest is open. Hips are open. Inhale, exhale. And then we'll release, take the right sole of the foot to the mat, and then bring the left sole of the foot to the mat. And just take a moment there. Notice if there's any difference from one leg to the other. We'll go ahead and bring the left knee in toward the chest. Again, interlacing the fingers either behind the thigh or the shin. Flexing that foot. And then circle that left ankle. Both directions. And go ahead and extend the right leg nice and long so that leg is active. Pressing through the heel, flex that foot. Feel the stretch in the back of the leg. Quads are engaged. Go ahead and extend the left leg toward the ceiling. Pressing the back of that thigh into your interlaced fingers. So you're pressing up, but you're also pressing that thigh away, creating space in that left hip joint. Dropping the shoulder blades. Go ahead and bend that knee. We'll take it to our happy baby on this side. So the left elbow comes to the inside, and then wrap the fingers around the outside of that foot, drawing that foot down. Pressing that elbow against the knee as the knee pushes inward. So we're in a supine lunge position here. And then we'll come into a tree by holding onto that ankle and then bring that sole of the foot to the inner thigh or the shin. You can gently take the left hand to the top of kind of the inner thigh and gently press it open, feeling that space in that hip joint. Abdominals strong. Option to take the arms up for your full supine tree, opening up the chest, opening up the hips. And then we'll bring the sole of both feet to the mat. And just let the soles of the feet come together and just let the knees drop open to either side. So you're in your Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. And just wherever it's comfortable, you can bring the feet closer in, or you can extend the legs out a little bit with the soles of the feet together. And take a deep breath there. And then using your hands, let's bring the knees together and then bring the knees into the chest and just roll to one side and use your hands to push yourself up. And we'll come into all fours. So you're on hands and knees, the wrists are under the shoulders and the knees are under the hips. Abdominals are strong, supporting the lower back. And we'll just do a couple cat-cows here. So on the inhale, we'll let the belly drop, chin comes up, tailbone comes up. And then on the exhale, we're going to round and drop the head, drop the tailbone, drawing the navel into the spine, creating as much space as you can between each vertebra. And then again, inhale, let it drop. And exhale, round. Really pushing through the palms of your hands. Find that stretch, let the head drop. And inhale, belly drops, shoulders back. And one more time, exhale, rounding. And we'll come to neutral. And then tuck the toes, coming back to your neutral spine, the abdominals strongly engaged. Make sure your toes are tucked, and then we're going to hover the knees. So we'll just lift the knees about 1 inch or less off the mat. So right away, you've got an engagement of the abdominals, inner thighs. All those muscles are working. And slowly release. And one more time, let's go back to our cat-cow. So inhale, and then exhale, round. And inhale, let the spine drop, creating lots of flexion and expansion through the spine. Inhale and exhale, push through the palms, drop the hip, drop the tailbone, and come back to neutral. One more time, tuck the toes. And again, coming into your knee hover, lifting those knees. Make sure you're strongly engaging those abs right there. Inhale and exhale. From here, we're going to maintain the engagement of the abdominals, and as we're going to lift the hips and come into a downward dog. So just start with some movement, maybe bend one knee and then the other. That always feels so good when you first come into your downward dog. And then we'll come into stillness and just do a little downward dog check. Make sure the fingers are spread nice and wide. You're pressing through the fingertips, base of the fingers, the heel of the hand. The insides of the elbows are rotating toward each other as your chest starts to move toward the thighs. And a nice strong engagement of the abdominals to support the lower back. Lifting through the sit bones. And then go ahead and shake your head, yes and no. Make sure the head is relaxed, face is relaxed. And go ahead and bend the knees deeply. And then lift the sit bones even higher. So you find that nice stretch in the upper body from the fingertips to the sit bones. Inhale and exhale. See if you can find a little more stretch that maybe you didn't feel last time you did this. Strong through the abdominals. Maintain the height as you slowly lower the heels to the mat or toward the mat. Inhale, exhale. And this time we'll bend the knees deeply and just gently walk the feet toward the hands. So we'll come into Uttasana or forward fold. And just relax the head down. You can keep a slight bend in the knees if that feels good, or start to straighten the knees. Bend one knee, straighten the other. And then switch side to side, bending one and then the other. Relaxing through the neck and shoulders. And then we'll deeply bend the knees, engage through the abdominals. And then we're just going to roll up very slowly, stacking one vertebra on top of the other, using the strength of the abdominals to roll it up very slowly. Feel the separation of each vertebra as you come up. Shoulders and the head just roll into place as you finally come up. And we'll open the palms forward, close the eyes for a minute there. Feel your weight equally distributed on both feet, nice and tall. There's a gentle engagement of the abdominals, relaxing the shoulders down. And then go ahead and open your eyes. And then we'll inhale the arms up and exhale. Again, inhale the arms up, reaching nice and tall, and exhale the arms down. One more time, arms up, and hold the arms there. And then you can hold on to your wrist with the index finger and thumb and take it to a side bend, opening up that top shoulder. Inhale to come back up, and we'll just switch and take it to a side bend on the other side. And come back up. And let's bring the hands to the heart. And bring your feet a little bit closer, maybe one fist distance apart. From here, we'll start to bring the hips back, coming into a chair pose, Utkatasana. So your knees are staying over the ankles as much as you can. So rather than having them forward, the hips are back. Hands to the heart. Strong through the abdominals here. You can take the arms up by your ears, reaching through the fingertips, working those thighs toward each other, reaching through the fingertips, and nice and strong through the abdominals. Nice and long through the back of the neck. And come up. Release. We'll take that one more time. Take the arms up. Sit the hips back. This time we'll bring the hands back to the heart with the palms together. Find your chair pose and start to bring the weight onto the right foot. So your center of gravity is over that right foot, and just come onto the ball of the left foot to start, maybe onto the toe. And once you find your balance, you can start to lift that left foot. So we're balancing on the right. Inhale and exhale. And take that left foot back. We'll just switch. So take your time, find your balance. You're firmly on that left foot this time. Maybe start on the ball of the right foot. Maybe come up to the toe. And then just slightly lift that right foot off the mat. And then release it down. Let's come back up to stand. And then interlace the fingers behind you. If it's easier, you can also use the strap here. If your hands don't quite want to come together, this is a good place to engage the strap. And then reaching the palms together as much as you can. Bring the shoulder blades together. Drop the shoulders. Inhale, opening the chest. Slight back bend here. Strong through the abdominals. Inhale, and then as you exhale, we're going to start to fold, keeping the hands together, palms together if you can, reaching the arms up. And then at the bottom, you can release the arms and bring the hands to the mat and back to your forward fold and shake it out a little bit. From here, let's take the palms to the mat and just heel toe the feet to the edges of the mat with the toes spacing out, maybe a little bit off the mat. From here, we're going to come into a squat. So if you know that you need the support, you're going to take your blocks and you'll just come down to sit on the blocks. If you're at home, you can also do this on a chair and just sit at the edge of the chair and use your arms to push the knees away to get that stretch on the inner thigh. In the room, option is to sit on the blocks, 1 or 2, or you can also roll the mat up a little bit so you get a little more extra if your heels don't quite come all the way down. So lots of options here. We're going to bring the palms together at the heart, nice and strong through the abdominals. And you're using the elbows to separate the knees, opening up the inner thighs. Let's take the hands to the mat, and then we're going to lift the hips just a little bit and just pulse here. So we're going to take the hips parallel to the mat. Inhale and then exhale as you lower. And then inhale to lift and lower. We're working the legs, working the hips, lots of strengthening here. And lift and lower. If it's too much on your knees, just take it, just very small movement here. Lift and lower. If you can take it a little bit lower. And lift. And let's come all the way up back to your forward fold. Inhale and exhale. From here, we're going to move that right foot up just a little bit. So take it back to the mat with the toes pointing at a slight angle. And then take the weight onto your hands and step the left leg all the way back. So we're now in a high lunge, but our hands are on the inside of the foot. The foot is at the edge of the mat, and just rock a little bit forward and back, opening up that left hip flexor. Then go ahead and let that back knee come all the way to the mat. You can untuck the toe. If you like, you can roll that right foot out to the edge of the mat just a little bit, opening up that knee a little bit more. And you can stay up, or you can come down to the forearms on a block. You can start there. See if you can relax the hips down. We're getting an intense stretch on the inner thigh. Audrey, your knee is a little bit forward, so maybe you can take your foot forward or move the back leg back a little bit. Yeah. And then from here, if you want to try that with the forearms on the mat, you can take it down a little bit more. So if this is too much for you, another option is to be on your back the way we started. So if that doesn't work for you, to come into your half happy baby. So essentially you're doing the same pose, but you're on your back. And again, options here to stay up on your hands, if that's enough, or forearms on the block, or forearms on the mat. And then of course, you can take it all the way down. Or I like to stack one fist on the other and leave my forehead on the stacked fists. And breathe. See if you can relax the hips. And then we'll come back onto your hands. And then very carefully, we're going to heel toe the foot across to the opposite side of the mat. So we're going to come into a pigeon. So in a pigeon, you're trying to keep the shin parallel to the top of the mat. That doesn't work for everybody. It does not work for me. I need a little bit more angle. So my foot is a little closer to my body. The knee is a little bit more at an angle. And then I like to take a block to support that hip. So this will help to keep the hips in line. Just a little bit of the edge of the block under the hip of the bent knee. Start nice and tall, bringing the shoulder blades back. You can tuck that back toe and just lift the knee just to straighten that leg, get a little stretch. And then you can lower that knee back down and untuck. From here, we'll come down any amount. Same thing, you come down onto your forearms to start. Or maybe you can stack with the palms facing the mat, one palm on top of the other, and lower the forehead to the mat. Intense hip stretch here. So again, same thing. If that does not work for you, you can also do this in the supine position that we did in the beginning. Just do your supine pigeon. So you get that same opening in the hip, but it's a little less intense. So lots of options here. Take another few breaths. Letting the hips relax toward the mat. Relaxing through the shoulders. And we'll come back onto our hands to push yourself up. And then if you have a block under your hip, take it out and just let your weight come onto that hip. And we're going to take that back leg and swing it all the way around to cross to the other side of the front knee. From here, start by just interlacing the fingers and find that height. See if you can find your weight so it's equal on both sit bones, sitting nice and tall. We're going to come into a twist. So the options here are to start by just wrapping the right arm around that front knee, or you can use the left hand to push the knee a little out of the way, take the right arm up and hook the elbow to the outside of the knee. So it's a slightly different stretch. I feel this more in my back. Rather, if I wrap it, I feel it more in the outer thigh. So whichever works for you. Also, the option is to extend that bottom leg if that's better for you. Inhale, grow taller. Exhale. See if you can draw that back shoulder back a little bit more. Sitting nice and tall. And we'll come back facing front. And just let your feet, your knees lower down. So option here, if you want to try a lotus position, you can take that top foot into the hip crease, or just come to a regular cross-legged position here. So if you want to try the lotus position, it doesn't work for everybody. You can take that foot and bring it all the way in for a half lotus. And then come into your twist here. And come back to center. And let's release and come back to hands and knees. And extend that right leg out. So you're on the ball of the right foot. And then lift that leg and cross it all the way over. And we'll start to take our gaze toward that foot so we get a nice side stretch there. Inhale and exhale. And then we'll bring that leg back. So we're back on hands and knees. Tuck the toes. Make sure the abdominals are engaged. We're going to do that knee hover again. So just lift the knees, just slightly off the mat. Hold it there. And then maintaining that engagement of the abdominals, lifting the hips. We'll come back to downward dog. Go ahead and you can pedal out the legs. And again, come to stillness, lifting through the sit bones. And then deeply bend the knees. And again, we'll walk or hop to the front of the mat. So you're back in Uttasana, forward fold. And then from here, we'll heel toe the feet again to the edges of the mat. And come into our squat. Your choice, you can be sitting in a chair, opening up the knees with your elbows. You can also be sitting on blocks, maybe one block or two. And we'll bring the hands together using the thumbs to really lift that chest up. Sitting nice and tall, strong through the abdominals, and really press those knees open. And again, we're going to come and lift and lower the hips, this time maybe without the hands. So option, you can keep your hands on the mat, or if you want to try keeping the hands together at the chest and lift, really using those legs. Strong engagement through the abdominals, the pelvic floor muscles, and lift and lower and lift and lower and lift. Hold it there. This time, let your hands come back to the mat, and we'll lift the hips all the way. So we're back in our Uttasana. Let the head go. Shake it out. This time, we'll step the left foot forward just a little bit, and then hop the right foot to the back of the mat. So we're back in our lizard pose. You can roll onto the edge of that foot, opening up the knee a little bit more. We'll just rock, opening up the inner right hip crease, inner thigh. And then lower that knee, untuck the toes. And again, the options are to do this supine on your back, coming into your half baby, or you can take a block and bring your forearms to the block. It's also a good idea to start in a little gentler position. You can hold it there. Let the hips drop. Finding length in the back of the neck. Breathing into the sensation. And you can stay there, or you can stay up on your hands, or you can come all the way down to the forearms on the mat. Or if it works for you, you can come all the way down. And we'll start to come back onto the hands. And then take the left hand to the outside of that left foot, and we'll heel toe that foot across the mat to come into our pigeon pose. You can tuck the back toes and just lift that knee for stretch. Make sure that leg is straight back from the hips. Again, option to do this on your back. Just come into your pigeon pose. Lower the knee, untuck the toes. And then again, if you're using a block, you can take it right under the hip so that we keep the hips even. Start nice and tall, maybe a slight back bend. You can hold on to the edges of the mat here, or press into your fingertips as the shoulder blades drop. And when you're ready, you can come down any amount, either on a block, on your forearms, or you can let the elbows come out to the sides and stack the palms face down, one on top of the other, and let the head come down. See if you can relax the shoulders. Let the hips drop. Inhale and just exhale any effort. Just let gravity do the work. Breathing into that sensation in the hip. And then very slowly we'll come up, coming back onto your hands. If you have a block there, you can take it out and just let your weight come onto that hip, and we'll just take that back leg and take it all the way around. So we're coming into our seated position with the right foot to the outside of the left knee, and start with the fingers interlaced. So you find that evenness on both sit bones as you sit nice and tall, dropping the shoulders. See if you can keep the sole of that left foot on the mat. And then option to wrap the left arm around the knee to come into the twist, or you can take that left elbow and hook it to the front. See if you can drop the shoulders, looking over that right shoulder. And come back to center. And then option here to just sit with in a normal cross-legged position, or you can take the right sole of the foot into the left hip crease for your half lotus. And we'll do the twist again, whichever direction. Facing toward the right, the left. I'm confused on my left and right. I just lost it. Whichever direction we didn't do last. And come back to center. And then we'll come back to hands and knees. Send that left leg back. Find that stretch in the back of the leg as you press into the ball of the foot. Lift it up and cross it all the way over the right leg, and then start to bring your gaze toward that foot. Stretch out that left side. And then come back to all fours. Retuck the toes. One last time. We're going to hover the knees. And press it all the way back to downward dog. And then we'll slowly walk the hands back to the feet, keeping the engagement in the abdominals to keep the hips from swaying too much side to side as you walk the hands back, and come into your forward fold. And then again, bend the knees and we'll roll up to stand. Let's take the hands to the heart. From here, let's take the weight onto the left foot, and coming into a tree pose, you can take the sole of the right foot onto the shin below the knee, or if you like, you can bring that sole of the right foot to the inner thigh. Find your balance there. Pressing the sole of that foot into the inner thigh, engaging the abdominals. Option to take your arms up. And slowly bring the hands back to the heart and release that leg. You can shake it out. Option always to use the bar in the room, and we'll just take it to the other side. So bring the hands, well, actually bring your inner, the sole of the left foot to the inner right thigh. Hands to the heart. Option to keep that sole of the foot below the knee as well. And take the arms up. Opening the chest. Maybe rotate the wrists. And bring the hands back to the heart and release the leg down and shake it out a little bit. And let's come down to the mat. And just keep the soles of the feet on the mat. We'll come all the way down. So you're on your back. And let's straighten the left leg. We'll take the right sole of the foot to that left knee and just come into a twist. Lower leg is extended. You can take the left palm to the outside of that right knee. Right shoulder blade is working toward the mat. Your gaze can be toward the ceiling or take it toward your right hand. And slowly bring the knees back up. And we'll just switch, extending the right leg long and bending the left knee. Sole of the foot to the right knee and just let it drop toward the right side. Maybe lifting that right shoulder blade to allow the left shoulder blade to drop toward the mat. Feel that stretch through the rib cage, the outer thigh. And then bring the knees back to center. And we'll extend one leg and the other leg for Shavasana. Allowing the arms to be at a gentle angle from the shoulders. Go ahead and close your eyes. And take one deep breath. And go ahead and release all the effort. Allowing the arms and the legs to be heavy. Maybe part the lips, relaxing all the facial muscles, back of the neck. And just allow your breath to come into its own natural rhythm. And start to deepen the breath. Maybe stretch out the fingers and toes. You can interlace the fingers above your head, pressing the palms away for a full body stretch, pressing through the heels. Inhale. And then exhale, we'll bring in one knee to the chest and the other knee. And very gently roll to one side to come back to a sitting position. And just come to a comfortable cross-legged position, closing the eyes. Bring your hands to the heart. And just take a moment to really enjoy that sense of calm and balance. Notice any changes from when you started. And just take a moment of gratitude to the practice and this incredible organic medicine of yoga. Gratitude to the space and each other. Have a wonderful day. Namaste. All right. Good work. Lots of hip work today. Good. I'm glad it worked. Let's see if I can. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank you. That was great.
Good. Glad to see you all. We have,
Thank you.
we have lots of in-house people and at-home people.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's good.
Good job.
All right. Have a good
Enid,